What's up, Bertini fam? So as I'm sure you noticed in one of my previous videos, we have this big old box over here from Trask Performance that we need to unbox. All right, so just want to give you a quick highlight of where the bike is at right now and what things are all on it. Man, there's some cool stuff coming today. Anyways, before we jump into today's video, just as a quick formality, please make sure if you have not yet clicked that subscribe button and subscribe to my YouTube channel, do me a big favor, click that subscribe button right now. This way you can stay up to date on all of my future content that I'm putting out there. I have a lot of crazy things that we're doing to my Street Glide special, and so you're gonna wanna stay up to date on this stuff. Also, I'm planning on bringing back, potentially, my cash giveaways.
This is a good one.
And if you wanna get in on my cash giveaways, you have to make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel. With those formalities out of the way, go ahead and roll the intro. All right, well, let's go ahead and see what we got in this big ass brown box. X-Acto knife. Well, we got some paper. It's something I've been really excited about to show you guys. Some of the most high performance paper out there on the market. Who am I kidding? Get the hell out of here. Let me make sure I'm not throwing anything important away. I just tossed that paper a little too quickly. I got another Trask Performance catalog. I don't know if you guys see that one there, but that one is several years old. Talk about manifestation. All right, now we got a lot of parts in here. There's another box. Let's see what else. Some wrap in there. More paper. Oh, I know what this is. I know what this is. Now the shapes are all starting to make sense. All right, let me go ahead and pull all this stuff out. All right, let's start cutting this stuff open, and I'm gonna show you what we got in here. It's gonna be a whole lot of billet parts. Oh my gosh. Oh, does that thing look sexy? Oh my gosh, raw aluminum with cutouts. Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. This thing looks so damn beautiful. I wonder if you guys can guess what it is by now, or if you guys still have not yet figured it out. Oh my gosh. Yo, this thing looks freaking gorgeous. Oh my gosh, I'm freaking stoked about this one. Man, does the quality on this stuff look amazing. This is mind-blowing. Like, look at that. It's like jewelry. It's nuts. Very nice. Very, very, very nice. Oh, I know what this is. These are the carbon plates, the carbon fiber covers. Let me see here. Let me just see. Oh yes, these are the carbon covers that cover these pieces. Very nice. Well, this is me giving away a little bit of a secret of what's going to be done in the future, but this is for a brake caliper for the rear. Oh my gosh, that thing is so nice. I'm not going to take this out of the plastic just yet though, because this isn't going to be going on as of yet. I'm going to be using this when I upgrade the brakes. Anyways, Trask Performance gives you this whole readout here of what you'll need in order to install this, and you could easily see where everything goes. It looks actually really simple. I don't know if you can see that if you're catching in the camera. I'll go ahead and scan this in to this video so you all have reference of this. Trask does require and say it's a must to use red Loctite. So obviously we will be using red Loctite to put this whole thing together. With that being said, let's go ahead and get this whole thing built. So the way that I'm gonna work through this is I'm gonna go through what's easiest for me to do first. So I'll probably start with the bearing set. That's what I'm gonna go with first, and then we'll kind of work our way back down this way. All right, so I got the bearings pressed in on both sides. Now, if you're wondering why the hell doesn't Trask actually press those bearings in themselves, why do they send it to you like this? It's so you can anodize it, or I should reword that. It's so if you want to anodize it, you can. Now, I wanted to go with this raw aluminum finish, therefore I am not anodizing mine. But of course, when Trask puts these things together, you have to keep in mind they're doing it for the masses. And most of you all out there are probably going to have yours anodized. And that's the reason why they don't press in these bearings themselves. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the next step. By the way, in case you're wondering, I used that to press in my bearings, so it is doable. All right, now we're gonna move on to this portion right here on the swing arm, which is these two pieces. Now, something very important is there's 6 screws that go into each of the sides in the packet, right? So in all of your screw packet, there's a bunch of screws in here, right? Not these 2 sets. None of these are gonna go over to here, but you're gonna have these style, right here. There should be 12 of these style of screws. And then there is 6 of these style screws. Now I'm gonna show you what's the difference between the 2 of these. The one that there is only 6 are shorter than the one that there is of 12. So keep this in mind. Something very important to note, do not mess this portion up. And don't forget, once again, red Loctite goes on everything. With that being said, let's go ahead and get to building it. All right, now that we got these mounted into here, these are anywhere, once again, between 18 to 22. I torqued them down to 21 foot-pounds, and that's where I felt happy at. Now, moving on to the next piece, before we mount these onto the bigger piece, because that's probably gonna be the easiest part of it all, we'll go ahead and take this block, and this block is gonna go into these 2 wedges like that. So I'm not sure if you're catching it in camera, but there's like a slot here. It's gonna go into the 2 wedges like that, and it should look like this. Let me give you a few different angles here. In case you're wondering, that's basically what it should look like. The screws that you're going to use for this one are these screws right here, and we're gonna torque these down to about 12 foot-pounds. All right, next up on the list that we're gonna work on is these mounting points. This is for where you're gonna mount your shocks. And so just simply right onto there. Now, I did notice on these that there is a way you can flip these back this way, and I'm assuming that's going to lower the shock's positioning. So, I mean, obviously I'm not gonna do that. And besides I don't wanna say the instructions, but these right here show it facing closer to the front, and so that's the way that I'm actually going to install it. And remember, once again, we are using red Loctite for these bolts, as well as torquing them down, same thing, to 11 foot-pounds. Okay, so now that we have pretty much the whole thing done, what we're gonna move on to is the main portions, and that is gonna be mounting these two right and left sides to the main portion of the swing arm. Once again, you will be using the 12 bolts provided here, and you are going to be using red Loctite. Very important. I know I keep repeating it. I don't want to read anywhere online or hear of anybody online asking me, do I need to put on red Loctite or what are the torque specs? I'm listing them all in this video for you guys. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and put on the chain guards. Very important, there is a T for the top one, which is gonna go up here. And then there is a B for the bottom one, which is gonna go down on the bottom.
That's what she said.
And if you haven't guessed it already, these will be using these last 4 bolts. And now on these, I'm actually going to be using blue Loctite. I'm not going to be using red Loctite on these in case I ever do need to replace these for whatever reason. I could simply heat these up and not destroy anything else. Now I'm gonna show you how to install the adjusters. So basically, these are gonna be the parts for the adjusters that you're gonna need. And I've already done one on this side so you can see what a completed one actually looks like here. What's pretty awesome about the engineering on this, I don't know if it's coming across in camera, but you have a bunch of markings here. This way you can keep track of where you're at with your chain, especially if you have a chain. Obviously you can do the same thing with a belt, but especially with a chain, these lines over here, these markings are very, very important. Anyways, I wanted to show you guys what a completed one actually looks like before we get into how to actually do this. All right, so first things first, each of these blocks have a left and a right. We just did the right. The easiest way to know if you have it done correctly is the marking that is on the swing arm and the markings that are actually on the adjuster. Then what you're going to do is you are going to take this nut and thread it on to this bolt. Just like that. You don't have to go too far up. You can leave it, let's say, somewhere about there. And then on here, you're going to add this spacer. This piece right here is going to face out. So it's going to go on like that. This piece facing out. Then this piece right here is going to go in like that. I don't know if you guys can see that in the camera. And then now, once again, that piece is going to go on there like that. And then you are going to start the threading process. Now, what I'd recommend is taking a wrench and just kind of doing it from over here until this all the way, until it makes its way all the way through. Pretty simple. And that's it. That's how you do it. And then just for the sake of this tutorial, we're going to put this on right now. Obviously, I'm going to actually mount this properly when we install it onto the bike. But this is where it'll go. Now we are in the home stretch and it is time for our carbon fiber plates to go on. And now if you need instructions for this portion of the video, you should not have been doing this installation to begin with. By the way, these are real carbon fiber sheets. For those of you who are wondering if they are real carbon fiber, yes, they are real carbon fiber sheets. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, they look so beautiful. Wow, that is so beautiful. That looks so nice, and it's really nice to finish off these covers with. You genuinely do get what you pay for. This piece is just beautiful. All right, we're in the home stretch, let's finish it up. Now, if you're wondering, am I just gonna go ahead and pop on all these screws and that's it? No, I'm gonna put some blue Loctite. Even though I know it says all bolts must have red Loctite, I'm using blue for these case bolts. And I'm not even sure they even need you or want you to do this, but I'm gonna do it anyways because it's a safe thing to do. And I don't want to lose these pretty carbon covers, and it doesn't hurt, and it only takes what, like 20-30 seconds for me to do. I've already done more than half the bolts while I've been talking and jabbering here, so yeah, I'm gonna do it and I don't care. All right, now do me a big favor. When you're installing these plates, don't go ahead and torque them down like crazy. Don't be a dummy. It's real simple. Just put them on, screw them down, and that's it. And voila, that is it. Now, before I go ahead and wipe everything down with alcohol and clean it up really nicely, let's go ahead and do the exact same thing on the other side. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and weigh it up now that it is 100% complete. We're gonna weigh it up first by itself without the axle, and then we will weigh it up with the axle. So 16.4 pounds without the axle, now with the axle. 19 pounds in total, but that is including the axle, the adjusters, everything. Man, we just gotta take a second here and just admire how good looking this swing arm looks like. I mean, it looks good by itself. This is art without even putting it on the bike. I'm really happy with it. All right, so as you can see, got bags off the bike. I have wood over there. I have my jack stand under the bike, so everything's pretty much set up. I just need to lift the bike up, get some wood under it, and then start removing the rear end off the bike. But before I do that, so something I want to talk about is how I ended up choosing the Trask Swingarm over a bunch of others that are on the market. So there were a few things that I was looking for in a swing arm. One was obviously going to be the weight of the swing arm. That was one thing that I was considering, but it was not the most important factor in this scenario. Now, strength in this scenario was actually a really big important factor aside from just the weight savings. Strength played a big factor in this. Now, when I was looking for swing arms online and doing all of my research, as well as having friends do research for me, Trask ended up being one of the top ones we wanted to go with. A few of the ones that we had seen after doing some research online found out, or I should say we found out, that some of them had failures, meaning like cracks in the welds or things breaking on the swing arm. And obviously that is a really, really scary thing. And no matter how light something is, I'm not willing to sacrifice my life over reducing some weight. And so strength was also a very big, important factor to me. And then of course, the more obvious things, which is the quality of a product, the fitment, the finish, brand reputation, those were all things that played a big factor in going with the Trask swing arm. Now, there were two other factors in why I went with the Trask swing arm over other people's swing arms. Now, these two you might actually find pretty silly, so let's go back over here for a second. The first thing of silliness is this carbon fiber plate. Now, as many of you know, my bike probably has more carbon fiber on it than any other bike right now in the industry. I think I have an addiction with carbon fiber actually. But anyways, this was one thing. And then the other silly thing was the looks. Man, does this thing look sexy.
Yeah, baby, yeah!
That to me was a big factor, as I wanted something that was a standout, kind of like show quality piece that was like blinged out. That's actually why I didn't even want to anodize it, because I wanted this thing to bling. I wanted it to stand out on the bike. I have so many black parts on the bike, and so I wanted something that really stood out and popped, and that was this swing arm from Trask Performance. And then two, I like the modularity of it is what it's called. So anytime, let's say something, I needed to replace something or something happened, it's easy to just buy the part and get it switched out from Trask. And so for me, that was also a really cool thing, is the engineering behind it. Anyways, enough talking about the swing arm. Let's go ahead and get the factory one off the bike and then get this bad boy on. Just to give you a quick update, got the wheel off. The wheel is right over there. I did clean it up. And I also took the liberty of cleaning up my chain in the process just to get it nice and cleaned up. I mean, everything is off. Might as well, you know, clean it and service it while everything is off. Now what I need to do is I need to take off the factory swing arm. So there is some bolts over here and there's some bolts on the other side. What I am going to do for you guys is I'm going to right now overlay this video with some screenshots from the service manual so that you guys can go through and see what all actually needs to be done, and you all have the torque specs that needed and the process in which all of this stuff should come out, both on this side of the bike and then of course on the other side of the bike. All the rubbers and stuff, they all have a process in which they should come off, including the brakes, and I mean just everything has a process. And so I'm gonna continue to overlay these screenshots in this video. If you need to, just pause it at where you're at in the step and take down any critical information that you need in order to remove this swing arm off of the bike. All right, so now that we got the factory swing arm off, let's go ahead and weigh this up here. Oh, man. Okay, 20.8 pounds. So we saved, what, almost 5 pounds just in the swing arm. Let's go ahead and add the axle and adjusters to it now. All right, now with the axle, $23.4. So yeah, I mean, well, with the axle, we were at 19 on the Trask. So what's that? That's four pounds in total. So 4 pounds total savings, weight savings that is, and you're getting a much stronger piece as well as a piece that improves your ergonomics by going with the Trask Performance swing arm. So the swing arm is in. Initial impressions is this thing looks sexy as heck. One thing I will note, so these are 65 foot-pounds on each of the sides. You are gonna need 2 people to do this portion. So hopefully you have a second person who can help you out, because you're gonna need somebody to hold on one side while you do the other side, and then you're gonna rotate and do the exact same thing. 65 foot-pounds, very important. You do that, you do not want this whole thing coming off. Anyways, now we're gonna go ahead and get the wheel back on and get everything buttoned down and then out for a test ride. All right, so really quickly, I wanted to show you guys something. So as you can see, I'm in a completely different outfit. It is now the next day. What I ended up having to do last night was order a brand new chain. The brand new chain that I went with is an RK. It's a 530 chain, and it is specifically their GXW. It's the XW ring chain, which basically I believe means that it's the sealed chain. This specific chain, fortunately for me, is rated for some very high horsepower numbers. Next week, I believe we are going to be making well over 200 horsepower to the bike, and my current chain won't be able to hold up to that kind of horsepower rating. And so fortunately for something that happened, I ended up needing a new chain anyways, and so this is the chain that I went with for, like I said, for what's gonna be coming next week. I mean, it's gonna be some pretty big numbers, and of course we wanna be safe, and so I'd rather go with a chain that's rated for some high horsepower numbers versus something that isn't. And of course, I know some of you might be saying, why didn't I go with RK's drag racing specific chain? And that's because that chain is not sealed. My bike is still a street use bike, and so I do need to take that into consideration. Now, as you can see, I got the chain cleaned up here already. So I removed all the factory grease from this chain. I went with a gold one again, but yeah, this is all cleaned up and ready to go. Now, there's one real reason why I ended up needing a brand new chain. It's actually what led me to getting this in the first place. Fortunately for me, I had a second reason that I needed a new chain, which is good. It's probably the universe looking out for me. But the reason why I ended up having to go with the new chain is, well, let me show you. Come over here with me to the bike. So when I put on the new wheel, right, and I'm lining everything up, I put the chain over, I pull the tire back, I didn't have enough clearance here to get the axle through. And so what ended up needing to happen, right, is I ended up needing a new chain, because no matter how much I pulled, it had no room. And so this chain was, or is, too short for the setup that I'm now running. Now, I'm gonna show you here really quickly how you can easily change out a chain on these bikes. I mean, it's super easy. I'm gonna show you guys a quick trick here. Maybe some of you already know it, which is fine. But we're gonna go ahead and do this real quick just so you can get an idea on how to do this, and then we'll get everything buttoned back up and get the wheel on and get everything trued in. All right, so basically what you're gonna do here, it's pretty simple. You're gonna take this master link, you're gonna run your master link through this chain, and then you are going to run it into your old chain as well. And then all you're going to do is you're going to pull through your old chain, and that is it. So we'll go ahead and run this through. You want to be a little careful so that that it doesn't fall off the rails, but theoretically speaking, this should work out perfectly. Keep that same angle and approach, straight down and through, and there goes our new chain. And that is it. That is how you do it. Take your new link off, and old chain is off of the bike now. Now what we'll do is I'll make a few necklaces out of this thing, and I'll ride around the streets with my gold chain on.
Yeah, boy!
All right, fam, so as you can see, everything is now buttoned up and on the bike and aligned. I did as well put grease on the chain already. One thing I want to show you with the settings that's different from the very beginning of the video, and I'll explain why it's different, is I moved this block. It was originally up here, and I pushed it back one notch. In terms of where my setting is at, I'm at 5 from the back. This is a 120 link chain, so you do not have to remove any links. I'm 5 from the back end. What I did try to do was I started all the way at the very beginning, and then I was gonna take out 2 links, but unfortunately it still didn't work out. And so I had to start at the middle setting of the block, and so that's what I did. Let me take you to the other side of the bike so now I can show you why I went to this middle setting. So the reason for having to switch to this middle setting is because this spring was hitting the brake caliper when it was in this setting. Now, that's not necessarily gonna be the case for everybody's thing. It could also be the thickness of the springs on my bike. But obviously, if you're running a Legend suspension, I'm assuming Öhlins might be the same thing. I could be wrong though. You might have to move this block back one notch. With the new suspension I'm getting, as well as the new rear brake that I'm getting, I'm probably going to, or not probably, I'm definitely gonna be moving the block back up here to this setting that it was on here. Once again, you have several adjustment points here, but this is the one you're gonna have to go with. Also, the lock nut on the axle has to be torqued down to 75 foot-pounds, and you need to do both sides. The one thing I'm gonna do before I take the bike out is I'm gonna go ahead and run safety wire through the holes here. So very similar. Once again, this is a race setup, so obviously it was designed with racing in mind, so you'll have to run a safety wire through this lock nut and then through this washer right here. That's what that the purpose of that washer is. That hole in that washer is to hold the other end of the safety wire. So it is a 30, or not 30 gauge, but it's a 0.30 gauge wire that we're gonna have to run through here. And so we're gonna go ahead and do that. Then we're gonna go ahead and take the bike out for a test ride and give you our initial impression. And by our, I mean mine. All right, so something I've noticed almost immediately is that the bike feels significantly lighter in the rear, like really, really light. Like the word I'm looking for is maybe nimble. The bike is very smooth around turns. Now it doesn't feel as heavy as it did before. And I know it sounds silly, but well, the reason I say I know it sounds silly is mainly because I don't know if a swing arm is considered rotational mass. I mean, I guess it's moving, so there is some movement going on there. Maybe that's why it feels lighter and more agile or more nimble, is because it's less mass to move. Oh shoot, I just realized I need fuel. But yeah, getting back to the swing arm, the bike definitely feels a lot lighter, and I know it's 5 pounds lighter, but it feels a lot more than that for some odd reason. Like, it almost feels more closer to about like 20 pounds maybe. Now, let me talk a little bit about the install here. Obviously installing this part. For a lot of you out there, I would probably say this is not something that you should try to install on your own. I would say for most people out there, you should probably go and book service with a qualified mechanic who knows how to install these parts. And I say that because I'm somebody, I mean, I don't know if many of you know this, my first job ever, I interned as a motorcycle mechanic when I was 14 years old, and I learned how to work on bikes and build bikes and all sorts of other really cool things on bikes. And I did it for free. That's why I say I was an intern. It's a free job. Well, not a free job, but you know, you don't get paid. Although the shop that I worked for, they were really kind about it. They used to give me free pizza and shoot me a 20 here and there. So yeah, they were pretty cool about those kind of things. Man, it is a really, really windy day out today. My wife told me it wasn't gonna rain, and it kinda looks like it's gonna rain. Anyway, so getting back to the install. I am very comfortable with bike building installs on my own. Clearly, you guys have seen a lot of that on the channel from me. And even with somebody like myself who's really comfortable wrenching on certain things on my bike, I probably would not recommend you guys trying to do this install at home. You should go and seek professional help. And by professional help, I mean a trained mechanic who works on Harley Davidsons. With that being said, other than myself, let me say hi to the biker. With that being said, other than myself, the only other person I really do trust to work on my bike is Chris over at Blockhead Moto, and I know many of you already know that. That is the only person other than myself that I really am confident aren't gonna mess anything up whatsoever on my bike, and gives great recommendations. So I'll go ahead and put a link in the description box below as well to Blockhead Moto's garage. If you are in the Central Florida area and are interested in booking service, go ahead and hit them up. You know, of course, you can click that link, reach out to them, let them know that Michael Bertini from YouTube sent you, and they'll go ahead and take care of you. It's so funny. I always say, like, tell people Michael Bertini from YouTube sent you, like as if there's like a million Michael Bertinis in the world. I need to adjust this shift linkage, by the way, on this mid-control kit. This shift linkage is a little off, and I know what's causing it, but yeah, I need to adjust it more than I already have. It only happens from first to second. Sometimes it'll go in neutral, you know, versus going into second gear. All right, now for the very big question that I'm sure all of you guys are out there wondering, is this something that I would recommend? Do I recommend going and getting a Trask swing arm? So the real question is this: if you have to question whether spending $3,000 on a swing arm is a lot or not, you probably shouldn't go and buy this swing arm. You should probably just save up and buy a Trask turbo kit. That's what I would recommend if you are questioning spending $3,000 on a swing arm. Now, if you're the person who wants the absolute best,
and you want a high quality product and something to build the absolute best performance bagger, is buying a Trask Swingarm something you should do? Heck yes. It is a super high quality part. It is definitely something where you have a noticeable gain. Like I said, the bike feels much lighter and much more agile. It is definitely worth the buy. 100% I would say go out and buy this Swingarm. But like I said, if you're even slightly questioning spending $3,000 on a Swingarm, you should probably save up money and go ahead and buy a Trask Turbo Kit. I think that would be a much better buy for you. So, do you want the absolute biggest, baddest, and best performance bagger out there? Buy the freaking Swingarm. It is worth every penny. If you have a strict budget in mind and you want miles per gallon kind of bike, go ahead and get a Trask Turbo Kit. That is by far, in my opinion, one of the best ways to spend your money if you're looking for performance and you want something that every single time you jump on your bike, you're going to have a Kool-Aid smile. Trask Turbo Kit is the way to go. Anyways, that's all I have for today's video. I hope you guys have thoroughly enjoyed this video. Do me a big favor, if you have, go ahead and please click that like button. It really does help me out. And if you are not yet following me on my Instagram channel, or my Instagram, I don't know if it's called Instagram channel, on Instagram, do me a big favor, go ahead and hit me up on Instagram. It's very simple. It's at Michael Bertini. That is it. Obviously, like everything else, I appreciate all the love and support you guys show me. You guys are an amazing community to be a part of, so thank you so much for that. With that being said, make sure you're putting out good energy into the world and you're paying it forward. I'll check y'all out later. Bye now.